And we are recording. All right, everybody, welcome to Newfound Liberty. My name is Sean Babcock. I am your host. And today I'm joined by a couple of really close people in my life. Here we have Carlie Babcock, my lovely wife.
Hi.
And then we have
Happy to be here.
my brother, my closest friend and cousin here, Tanner the Red Bear Miller.
Hi, everybody.
All right, guys. So this episode is going to be covering a discussion on the book "The Anatomy of the State" that's done by Murray Rothbard. And like I'd said before, it is a little bit extravagant to do a book review on an anarchist, I guess, per se, position and writer. But I thought that it was important that we kind of understand a little bit of what a state really is, and like the whole libertarian. I guess you could say vision, or at least understanding of what a government is and what a state is, to kind of understand what it is to be a libertarian and why we have our views. All right, guys. So if you want, you can go ahead and talk a little bit about yourself, how you've heard about, or where, what has brought you to libertarianism. I kind of already know the answer, but I'd like you to go ahead and answer for yourself. So why don't we go ahead and start with you, Mr. Red Bear? What got you a little bit interested in libertarianism?
Okay, so honestly, 3 years ago, I was not into politics whatsoever. I didn't really care about who's in office or anything like that. But once I moved up here, started talking to Sean, found out we learned about the libertarian movement, and we were like, "That's dope." And so ever since then,
I mean, I guess that's a really good way to look at it. I mean, that's very positive.
And so yeah, we ever since then we've been looking into it. Sean has done more than I have, of course, but
I'll put in the work, and then I'll just give you some material, and then you can tell me what you think about it. That's basically been our relationship about it so far.
True.
For sure.
I think that's everybody's relationship with it.
Oh, has it?
So
I'm just
Yeah.
gonna go ahead and put in all the work and do all the reading, and then be like, all right, read this book and tell me what you think now.
Yeah, and then you spew the knowledge,
which is basically this whole podcast.
Yeah.
At least this episode.
Exactly.
Probably several more in the future.
Yes.
Oh, Tanner, you said that you kind of understood a little bit about I guess you could say that you kind of understood anarchy a little bit, and your perspective on that, kind of like why would you say that you kind of feel a little bit more sympathetic toward anarchists?
Because okay, so libertarians and anarchists kind of want the same thing, in my opinion. Like, libertarians want small government, anarchists want no government.
Right.
And I can see the pluses on both sides of that. But I believe that, like, we're more likely to be libertarian than we are to be an anarchist country or state. So
would you say that the state is a necessary evil, or but at least for like minimal reasons, like for, or have minimal roles as far as society is concerned? Because I mean, the argument is whether or not we should have a smaller state or whether or not we should have no state at all, right? Isn't that like kind of the minarchist kind of positioning?
Right. So I believe that having little to no state, or not state, but little to no government in the state would be better, because right now they're just in everything, and I don't like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll get into the discussion of like the whole reason why that is the situation. Yeah, I get you. I mean, you want to I mean, there's a classification between the two, anarchism, minarchism, and like whether or not you want a smaller state or you want no state at all. Like, I mean, it becomes problematic after that, nonetheless. But I mean, I guess from what you had told me before, that you kind of just understood that, like, at least both just don't want people kind of, in their lives telling them what to do. They just kind of want to live. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So that
shouldn't be a thing.
It shouldn't be a thing. Oh, it shouldn't be a thing. I mean, debatable, I guess, depending on like the person you're talking to and the ideology that they have. Yeah, it's kind of debatable. But definitely, as far as a libertarian perspective is concerned, it's none of your damn business what somebody wants to do with their life, as long as they're not hurting another person or violating their rights. I mean, that's basically what being a libertarian is. Yeah, exactly.
I don't give a fuck what you do. As long as you don't affect me or my loved ones, you're
Bingo.
good, dude.
Right. Yeah. Don't mess with my property. Don't mess with my family. Don't mess with our lives. You know. All right. That's fair. All right. How about you,
Right.
Carlie?
What was the question? I'm just kidding.
We went a little further than that, I guess.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
remember the question? Okay.
Yes, I do. So before like you and me even started dating, I didn't care about politics at all.
Oh, man,
Didn't
I
give
have
a
such
shit
an
about it.
effect on people. I have such an
You
effect on people. Do I
do.
not? Oh my god.
Yes. And then we got together and you were conservative at the time.
I was.
Not
Don't hold against
knowing
me.
that
Don't hold against me.
I know. Not knowing that that wasn't actually what you were, because I know that you disagreed with a lot of the ideologies of conservatism.
That
So
merits another sip of wine. I'm just gonna say right now.
thank you. Thank you. That's what I need.
A
Can't get my
little more
words out,
wine.
so I need to drink more.
There you go. You have to get to the point to where you go from talking straight to slurring, then you go past the slurring into talking perfectly. Like that's the
Right.
point
And then
we
I
need to
just
get
make
to.
up words that don't even exist.
And you know what? Webster will be proud. He will be super happy that you are creating words for him in his grave. Just as like, just add them to the book.
Right. Well, so we thought we were conservatives because that's what.
Well, I mean, fiscally for sure. Like, I mean, that was a thing.
Yeah.
I never really got on board with a lot of the views of the GOP party or the Republican establishment, only because like I just didn't understand like why it was such an issue. Like, I mean, we'll go as far back as when I was younger and like why gay marriage needed to be such a suppressed thing.
Right.
I've heard arguments from conservative side saying, insurance reasons and stuff like that. But I'm just like, to me, I'm just like, I didn't really care. I'm just like, why not just let them get married? I'm like, personally, to me, I was just like, so you get a piece of paper from like the courthouse
And
that says that
we've
you're
had
married,
conversations about this,
about whether or not
so-
it was really important or valid
Yeah.
that you had that stupid piece of paper. But it actually is important as far as like when you're on your deathbed and whether or not people have rights to
Yeah.
to see you and stuff like that. So in addition to that, the state does make it even more difficult for you to just
They always got to
pledge your
put their dicks
love
in
to somebody
things.
to pledge your love for somebody without the state
Fine.
getting involved in order to keep you from personalized things later on in life. That is very problematic. But those are things that like, I mean, I didn't really look at or I didn't really see. And as being conservative in the past, it was difficult for me being in this like I want to say this like it's like an echo chamber kind of argument, like I'll see things and I'll try to kind of take an approach to it myself, and then I'll hear like more conservative talking heads or like more renowned conservatives give their 2 cents on it, and they usually always end up having like the kind of the same position on it, and so then I just fall right back into it. Like I'll be like, okay,
Right.
well then I guess that's going to be my argument. Now it wasn't really, as being a conservative for me, wasn't really enough of conservatives arguing about what their principles were, the conservative value was, or sticking to it, or at least challenging each other. It was more like we're banding together because we believe that the other side of the political spectrum is the enemy, and it doesn't matter. We'll just decide one position, and everybody just has to fall in line to it. And that was an issue for me for a long time. I'm glad that I walked away from it. I'm really glad.
And then when Trump started pulling his bullshit this year about his gun laws.
Oh, not even just this year. Just Trump's from the beginning of Trump's.
Well, I know that.
Beginning of his.
Once he started banning certain gun laws, or adding certain gun laws, that was like your final breaking point.
Well, I mean, I would say that like I would say an executive order to ban bump stocks, and to be honest, bump stocks are not great. They're not, but like for a guy who champions to be like the leader of the or to be like a protector of the Second Amendment, I mean, that's just utter bullshit to me. I'm like, I don't care if you don't like them, I don't care if they're not that big a deal, but to start signing executive orders in order to administer gun laws nationwide, that's a slippery slope. And like the next time a president gets in that I don't like, can just start issuing executive orders.
Well, next time, you mean right now?
Now, basically, which is what I've been worried about. And
every other fucking day,
we just can't wait to see
libertarian gets into office.
Well, we'll see. But like that was problematic for me.
On
that was definitely like the breaking point. I was very angry throughout most of the Trump presidency. It all started with like the first ever bill that he signed, and I'm like, dude was supposed to like cut spending. Dude was supposed to like what is this
You
about?
didn't do that.
And there's like, I had plenty of conservative family members and friends explain to me like, oh, well, this is for this reason. And I was just like, no, bullshit. He's always had the option to veto it. Like, this was the whole point of us like voting him in. So all these people out here being like, you are what you are. I was a conservative. I hated the GOP, and I only ever voted out of fear for almost every election. But Trump was supposed to be something different. And I didn't really
Gotta say that it's a weight off my shoulders to be able to post shit about both sides and
Yeah.
how much I hate both of them.
You're liking that about being a libertarian.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm like, I can
got its
openly
perks.
say, yeah. And voting this year, like, or
I
this
mean-
last year, I guess, man, that was like the happiest I had.
I don't think I've ever been as
voting
proud.
for Mama Jill.
I don't think I ever been as proud to leave the voting booth as I was whenever I decided to start voting libertarian.
Oh yeah, especially we live in a very conservative.
Well, not to mention too, like
area,
we decided that we were
so-
going to get involved with our county affiliate for
Yeah.
the Libertarian Party. So we actually went out and met our actual representatives. We've actually talked with them. We know them
Yeah.
by name. They're friends with us even on Facebook and have talked to us. And
Mhm.
like, we know what's in these people's hearts. Like, we know what they actually care about and what's true to them. And like, to be honest, like, that's why I was like, no, man, I never felt better about voting. I was like, nope, I know
No.
exactly who I want to be my representative.
And the fact
I know
that we got to
exactly who I
meet
wanted to be my
Spike
senator.
Cohen.
Like, oh yeah.
When we
Alright.
got to meet Spike Cohen, that was fucking awesome.
Oh yeah,
That was
Spike
pretty
Cohen
dope.
is just a fantastic person. Like, I just,
Like I got like a little heart palpitation whenever he was standing right there. I'm like, that's him
right.
right there.
Like, trying to give us a
Like
shake, and we're
sneaking
just like, you want to
pictures, I'm
kiss our
like-
baby? You want to be the politician and kiss our baby? Here's our baby, kiss him. And he's just like, no, I'm just trying to
Goddamn
shake your hand.
COVID
He's just trying to shake your hand. There's
prevented
a
him from
COVID
kissing my
thing
baby.
going on. And I was just like, man, of all the times I'd have loved to have a picture of my son getting kissed by a politician.
Right.
For sure. All right, well, we're gonna get back on track here. So we're talking about The Anatomy of the State by Murray Rothbard. Okay. So
Woo woo.
what is a state?
It's shit.
A whole mess.
That's pretty good answer. Not gonna lie.
The state is basically a parasite that just wants to leech into everything that we do in our lives and
No, that's
take
true.
control
Well, I
of
mean,
it.
it's yeah. I mean, you could argue that the state's existence is to govern the people, right?
Like, do you
So,
want me to read the actual
you're more than
Murray
welcome to if you
Rothbard
want.
definition?
Yeah, you're more than
All
welcome
right.
to. Go ahead.
Says
Indulge
the
us.
state is that organization in society which attempts to maintain a monopoly of the use of force and violence in a given territorial area. In particular, it is the only organization in society that obtains its revenue not by voluntary contribution or payment for services rendered, but by coercion.
Isn't that just nice?
That's a direct quote from Murray Rothbard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's incredibly right because I mean, like,
Yeah.
wouldn't you say that it would be a private like security entity that you would pay for if it was something that you actually voluntarily paid for, right?
Right.
So, like, say you were in a community and you wanted a group that would be governing the law and deciding like what was right, or not deciding what was right, but like adhering to the laws that you had equally agreed upon inside of a community. You would just be paying for a security force, right, in order to make sure that
I mean, we have
the things that
we
were
have a
decided by the
direct-
people were to do, but you would
Yeah.
pay for it voluntarily. But while a state doesn't necessarily do that, a state will give you the guise that it's going to be your police force, and but the only way it is capable of maintaining its existence is by coercion, by taking what it can from the citizens
I mean,
that it
we have
governs, right?
Yeah, we have a direct example right now, like with our trash situation. Like right
yeah.
now, everybody was able. We had 3 different trash
You had a
companies
choice.
that
You
everyone
you
could
definitely had a
pick, or
choice.
if you didn't want them, then you didn't have to pay for trash pickups.
Absolutely.
So-
You could choose the different types of companies that would come and pick up your trash here in the city. Well, that's definitely that's true. That's a real life thing that's
And
happening
now
right now. It's changed.
they're switching it to where it's mandatory on your water bill,
Yeah,
and it's only the one company that's going to be part of it, and you
Yeah.
have to have it whether you need trash pickup or not. Some people just burn their trash. They don't need a fucking trash pickup.
Right. Well,
but they don't have that
the
choice,
state
and now
county
they have to.
affiliate decided that that's what they were
Yeah.
going to do. They were going to
And
they
now
were going to
yeah,
get
now they're
together
gonna
with a
have
water
15
company and
extra
decide that they were going
dollars.
to force everybody, like everybody usually needs water, right? So like they're like, okay, well, if you're going to have to
Obviously,
be
yeah.
a part of the water, now you're going to just go ahead and we're going to cluster the whole trash company together.
Yeah, we're gonna add $15 to your water bill because
Yeah.
you have to have trash pickup, obviously.
Right.
The only
And
good
because
thing
they
is that
can.
now they're gonna do recycling.
Well, that's
Sorry, Tanner.
fair. I mean, that's fair. I mean, the state does try to do good things, you know.
What was
But in the
Tanner
attempt,
gonna say?
yeah, Tanner,
I
what
was
were you
just
going
gonna
to say?
say that they can do that, and that they shouldn't be able to fucking do that.
To just
you don't wanna be
monopolize
able
on
to-
it, to just decide that guess what, this is what you got to do in order to have your trash pickup.
Yeah.
You don't get to choose between a couple different companies. Now you're forced to actually use the trash company that is put in place by the water company now. So
Yeah, because you have to have water, like you were saying.
Well, I mean, I think
it's not like
everybody's mostly
we can find other like water providers in order to get water either. But that's
right.
been a monopoly for a while, right? Like,
But I feel
most of the time it's
like
usually
a
just
lot
the
of
one thing
people.
in most cities.
I feel like a
Okay.
lot of people are used to it being that way, that trash is like included with their water.
I guess,
But-
and so they figured that they
But
were going to
when we
subject us
go
to it
from
too.
one to the other, it's going to piss some people off.
Yeah, but they're going to
Right.
suggest like subject us to it as well. I mean, that's removal of choice. And to be honest, like, I don't see that as a good thing. I mean, removing
No.
people's options is never a good thing, in my opinion.
Like,
And honestly, I
what-
thought it was okay, but it was Michael Colegas that brought it to my attention that no, that's not cool.
No, he did. No, I straight saw his post, but I thought about that the second that you told me that that was a situation. I was like, so wait, we don't get to decide what provider we want to use? And then like Michael put on that post on Facebook. But by the way, shout out Michael, you were definitely my representative, sir, and I did vote for you.
Yes,
Hopefully we'll have you on the
always.
podcast one of these days so that you can give us a
Love
little
that
bit more
guy.
direction, because we're little newbies when it comes to this libertarianism thing. Okay, that's why we're
And man, like
exploring
the fact that you can't even collect rainwater for.
Well, I mean, in some
use
states,
that.
it just depends. But yeah, that's already a law. That's all other things that we're gonna get into. What I swear this conversation
Like I collect
keeps
rainwater
going off the
for
rails a
witchy
little bit here.
reasons,
So what we're
but-
talking about is what a state is. Okay. All right. So what a state is,
Right.
Carlie had already stated it, right? Stated what the state is.
She stated what a
I'm
state
not a
was.
statist, though. I promise.
You're not a statist. Okay. I ain't no statist.
I state things, but I ain't no statist. Okay.
All right, so like the means for a state to exist, like, isn't it a little bit absurd that it has to forcefully take money from its citizens in order to maintain its power? All right, right? Don't you think
Absolutely.
that's kind of a little absurd?
I think it's
That's a bit. it's
way
lucky.
ridiculous.
Well, I mean, if a state is going to operate properly and to the best interest of the people, wouldn't you think that they would want to pay for it voluntarily?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They want to keep it. You supposedly want to keep your people happy, right?
But see, then it wouldn't be a state. You would have to put it
Yeah,
inside
and
the
if it's-
private
if it's
sector,
gonna be
because
the-
then it would be a service that you would openly want to pay for, just like with any kind of
Yeah.
private services that you'd want,
And if
right?
it's for the best interest of everyone, then why wouldn't people want it?
Exactly.
You
Why
know,
would
But
you
if
need,
it's
why
not
would-
in the
Yeah.
best state or the best interest of everybody, then obviously people aren't going to want it, and we shouldn't be forced to do so.
Yeah,
Whatever
well,
it
yeah,
be.
that's fair. I mean, I shouldn't be forced to pay for something I don't want. And I think a really important point that Rothbard actually states about what a state is. Okay, so I had a friend a long while back who told me that what he believed in was that government was a direct representation of the people who voted in the representatives into office. So more or less that the government was an extension of the voice of the people, right? So
That's a knee
all right,
slapper right
y'all,
there.
all right, all them libertarians
Right.
out there fucking laughing their asses off, like as if that's a thing. All right, well, that's the point I'm trying to make here. Okay, is that
Yeah.
like if the state is supposed to be a representation of the people, then therefore actions that are done by the state would literally be actions that are done by the people, right?
Yeah, then that makes us part of the state, and so what they do.
Yeah, well,
is
we
basically
advocated for the
our-
state. We
yeah.
voted in the people. So when the state does something,
Mhm.
that's basically like an extension of like our action.
Yep.
So then
Right.
I have
anybody
notes
out
about
there,
that, too.
who's ever in any situation been anti-war, this cannot be a truth. Like, this cannot be truthful. Like, that your extension of the state and what the state does is a representation of you, especially if you've been against things like, in our lifetime, what the Iraq war, the war in Afghanistan, even further back, like the Vietnam War, getting involved in the Korean War. Like, I mean, if you were opposing our government involvement in those wars, then you're opposing your, technically by the definition, your
yourself.
own decision.
Yeah.
You're opposing yourself, right? Because
Right.
Yeah, and according to
like,
that,
decisions made by the state are literally decisions made by you, because you had voted in your representatives to make those decisions for you.
yeah, and if
Right.
you want to go by that, then all the Jewish people killed in the Holocaust committed suicide.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That would literally be the case. The people who voted Hitler into
That's
office, and then
literally,
Hitler
yeah.
decided to commit the genocide on the Jews, then that would be literally the state killing itself. So it would be suicide. It would not be considered genocide or murder. It would be suicide, because that's your state, that's your government that you elected, right? That's what's supposedly representing
You voted for this guy,
right? Well, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Is that like, not everybody does vote for them. So like, when it's not a representation of you, it shouldn't be blatantly thrown in your face that that's a representation of you. But that's
No.
literally, that's the guise under democracy that we have right now, is that because it was brought up to a vote, that like, this is just the way, and this is the decision that you all collectively made. But that's not true. All right. So like, democratically, I have a bike, and I'm in a room with like 80 different people, and 79 or 8 or even 60, the majority of the people vote to take my bike from me, even though it's my bike. I bought it, I owned it. They get to do that under a democratic vote. And to be honest, that's not right. There's no morality behind that decision. Just because they all decided collectively to do it does not make it right. So therefore, the majority decision on the elected officials who are now operating the state even right now and making the decisions they do, don't necessarily represent you, nor do the actions of the state. At least as far as libertarianism is concerned, is that we do not recognize that as a direct representation of us at all, even remotely. But a lot of people do believe that, because they believe in things like this democratic process, which, to be honest, is actually quite bullshit. Because when you look at the way the state works, is that the validity of the state is actually the state gives its own validity for its own existence, right? So
I have a question real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so they say taxation without representation is theft, right?
Absolutely.
So if they're not representing you, they're just stealing from you.
Absolutely.
Right?
Well, they're not representing something that you want or something that you would advocate for. And I mean, that would not be right across the board, even in small cases of the towns. Is like, maybe the town wants, I don't know, taxation for a certain aspect of their playground.
The roads.
Right? We don't have to get into that kind of conversation just yet. All right, like save the good stuff for later podcasts, sweetheart. Thank you.
Sorry.
We'll have a Maroods podcast soon enough. I can assure you guys.
You needed an example, and that
was a good example. I was gonna say like a park. Let's say that not everybody was like, well, I don't give a shit. I don't need a park. I don't understand why I'm being extorted. Like, people are taking my money for a park that I'm not going to use, don't need. And like, it would be one thing if, like, say the town collectively got together and been like, we would like to make this part of land that we're going to say is public, that's owned by everybody here in the town. We want to turn it into a park, and we want you guys to fund it so that we can build the park. You know, it'd be one thing for them to ask, and then for people to voluntarily put money toward. But no, instead, because of the function of the state is that, like, you don't get to say, you don't get to potentially volunteer money. You are extorted of that money, and then the state does it whether or not you like it or not. So in that case is still not a representation of yourself, right?
Right.
So that is very problematic. So I will challenge anybody who says that government is a representation of its people, because that is utter bullshit. You cannot
I
represent
mean,
every
maybe in
single
some
Talk about us,
cases,
dude.
you cannot represent
in some
every
cases, if you love the government and you love whoever's in office, maybe, but that is
but
hardly
you're still
ever
not going to get
the
every
case.
single citizen, every single person to
Act.
be on board with it.
Exactly.
And the fact that you are
Exactly.
you're extorting them in order to make sure that this system is strong, that this system grows, that this system does what it does, is not a representation of even the minority that's involved in it.
Right.
Still means that it's not a
Right. One or
direct,
two people
absolute
don't
representation of the
count.
people. So the only
Yes.
true representation of yourself is yourself. That's it.
Yep.
You don't get no you don't get no able-bodied person who represents everybody. You may have somebody that like you want to elect that represents you because you believe in what they're about, but it's not going to represent everybody.
Well, even like
Right.
Jorgensen, like everybody in the libertarian movement obviously wanted her to win, but everybody had
I mean, a
something,
lot of people,
one
yes,
or
for
the
sure.
other. Yeah, well, yeah,
For
I
sure.
guess.
I mean, you got
Not
people who
everybody.
necessarily didn't even believe in Jorgensen's message, but voted libertarian anyway. And then you got people who were like a lot of small L
Exactly.
libertarians are just like, you have to really convince me and give me a passionate candidate if you want to get
All
my
right.
ass out there to
Now
vote.
that you mentioned small
that's fair,
L,
though.
can you explain what the difference between small L and big L, or yeah, big L is?
I mean, I can.
I know you've explained it. I know you've explained it to
love
me, but I feel like
yeah, I think this group conversation just is getting all over the place, isn't it? I'm trying so hard to stay on subject here, but yeah, I mean that's a good okay. Small L and large L libertarian just means like a large L libertarians are more or less party affiliates, so people who are part of the Libertarian Party, the political opposition to the Democrats and Republicans, and small L libertarians are strictly on, well, not strictly, they can also partake in party politics as well, but they're to ideology, to their belief system, which is basically what we're exploring here with this whole podcast, is like
right.
what it means
I just
to be
wanted
a
to
libertarian,
get that.
not necessarily big L, not necessarily small L. And we will have future podcasts where we talk about more about like what's going on in the party, what the party represents, and then we'll go more in depth with different branches and types of libertarianism that deals with small L libertarians. We'll get into it a little bit more.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw a little thing out there.
Oh no, it's a good thing to
since
make.
you said
a lot of people don't really know, like that big L libertarian, like we're talking about, that kind of stuff. Sorry,
Yes.
the Zoom is talking at me right now.
Yeah, it said something to me too.
Oh,
well, we passed 40 minutes already on this, so that's nice.
It's been 40 minutes already.
Yeah, I've been worried about whether or not we were going to get enough time to talk about everything.
It feels like it's only been like 10 minutes.
Well, we've been ranting more or less and falling off track from like what we're supposed to be discussing, which is the state.
All right, well,
like,
we've only covered like the first.
Yes,
yeah, like we've only
points.
covered like the first chapter of this book.
Okay, Carlie, why don't you give us some points?
Like 6 chapters, but
I know that you wrote down some points. Why don't you go ahead and bring up another discussing point?
Okay, hold on. How about you guys chat while I read my notes and
okay, I guess we're
gonna
chat. All right, Tanner. So
what's going on?
So as far as the state's concerned.
Oh, just kidding. I know.
All right. Well, I guess good talk, Tanner. Good talk.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was a great talk.
Okay, so Murray also talks about the free market, obviously.
Okay.
Because the government doesn't believe that the free market should be as free as it really should be.
I mean, you could argue that some governments recognize the power of a free market, especially as far as enterprise
our
is
government
concerned.
doesn't.
No, not all government.
Well, okay, so ideally,
sure.
in the free market, a man that, or I say man as in people, okay, a man should be able to.
She's not advocating for the patriarchy, everybody. All right. She's just saying in general.
I believe both men and women.
A person, not sunshine.
I don't believe they're quite equal, but whatever.
Gotcha.
they should be able to use their resources and knowledge in order to create things and be able to trade that with other people for their resources and knowledge and freely. Yeah,
absolutely.
But the government,
okay, well then we have to. Then I guess we're gonna have to take
put
2 steps back
their-
here, and we're gonna actually have to talk about what property is. Right? We're gonna need to establish what property is.
Oh yeah, I guess that was probably a
okay.
better
So
place to start.
a lot. I'm gonna say the vast majority of libertarians believe in property rights. Okay, there are a few libertarians
Yes.
out there, some sub-libertarians, maybe libertarian socialists, libertarian or anarcho-communists that potentially don't necessarily believe in property rights. But I'm gonna tell you right now that the vast majority of libertarians do believe in property rights. Okay, that's not necessarily saying that like the land that you have is, you know, there has to be some kind of ownership over it. But
No,
you
it's
have
not
to do
necessarily just land.
no,
It's-
because what property is like, say that I work for somebody, I spent time of my life. That's my time. I own that time. That's me living. That's a part of my property, is that the time that I spent, what I do, what I'm doing right now with this podcast, this is me using up my time, making it my property, using this ability to create this podcast, making it my property. Okay. So in the event that like I spend time to earn either money or some kind of exchange of currency, or even just some kind of items by doing something for somebody else to help them out, that's me using my time in order to create some kind of capital. Okay, whether or not be an exchange of items or an exchange of another type of service, that's still me working to do that, using up the time that I have in my whole lifespan, giving my own time, creating my own property. So you can use that in order to take materials or resources from the earth to create something that you either like, whether or not it's like a table, like whether or not you want to use the time that you spent working for somebody to make money to go down to the lumber yard to buy from lumber that was cut from somebody's own personal land, and then you want to take that lumber to create something. Okay, right? You spent all this time in order to make it. So instead of just selling it for the same amount that the lumber would have just been by itself, you took the time out of your life in order to make it into something better. So you should therefore be able to charge a little bit more for that. That's a type of property. Like, I mean, that's you creating your own property, whether it's content, whether it's just your time or your presence around people. Like the way you choose to spend your time is a way for you to obtain property, a way for you to obtain your own means to trade.
So there's that part in the book where it talks about a father, and the father dies and he wants to give his land to his kid, but he can't because the land is not his son's, it's his.
Well, see, the thing is,
what is that
about? He had sold his land to somebody else, I think. And so
so the exchange of property, so whatever kind of property that I have, that I have obtained or that I have created, I have the choice whether or not I want to sell it or I want to leave it to my son. So even though my son did not do nothing to obtain the property or to create the property or to earn the property, because I had already done the earning and I already own it, I have the choice to decide whether or not I want to leave it onto my son or whether or not I want to pass it on to another, like by selling it or by trading it or exchanging it with somebody else. But it's still my property until I have died. Once I have died, then the property will be transferred over into the hands of usually the firstborn son. But it's that's not really an important aspect of it. It's really like your children would have claim over the property equally, no matter how many children you have or who or what their gender is. That's super not important.
It really just depends on what you put in your will, but
kind of, yeah. But I mean, you can take it to the legal rights situation
and how much you want to piss off your other children.
If you want to be a piece of shit and you're just like, nope, I want Johnny to have it. Fuck Jeffrey, Blake, Jeremiah, all these other bastards. Like, I hated them. They never represented me. So this other guy, he's only gonna get.
They never helped me raise a barn.
You have the option.
Why did you pick a bunch of Amish?
But you have the option to do that. But that's your choice. Ultimately, even in the event that you're not dying, you have the full choice over what you're going to do with your own property. Okay. So
Right, yeah.
it doesn't have to necessarily be that you're going to die, and then that's debatable. I mean, even right before you die, you can decide, yeah, it's all going to go to the neighbor's cat. Like, screw it. Like, not like that's going to go really far in
Fuck
court
it.
systems. That's going to be problematic. People are basically going to
Fucking
wait for that cat
Randall.
to die. They're going to wait for that
Randall
cat
the
to die.
cat.
They're going to wait for that cat to die because the cat can't disperse of the property. Right. And once the cat dies, then they can decide to disperse of it amongst people as they see fit. I guess they can
It's like
barter
the
with it as
dog
they
that
want.
became mayor of a town. I love that. Sorry.
It
Well,
seems
I-
even
Stop.
more weirder when it comes to those circumstances for sure. But
He
yeah,
probably
that's
did a
but
better
that's-
job than any politician would do.
All right, well, that's what property. Well, that's us establishing what. Okay, so do
Sorry,
we have a
very
little bit
random
better of an
thought.
understanding of what property is, right? Property is not
Yes.
necessarily just a material substance, but it's like a right to your own ability to create things because you are spending your time,
Your own
do
time.
something.
Yeah.
and so therefore, whatever it
Right.
is that you do to work on that is yours, as long as it's not
Man,
somebody else's
I'm
materials.
loving the fact that like libertarian ideology like fits really well with like my spirituality kind of
That's
aspects.
great.
Like
That's fantastic, though.
I'm like, don't waste your energy on other people because that's your property.
Yes, it
And
is.
you don't
It
want to
is
just
absolutely your
waste it
property.
on things that don't matter, right? Or
Man,
let
and-
other people abuse it or take that property.
Right?
from you.
Absolutely. Why not?
And let's talk about how the
Beautiful.
government, like, you can't even go out and buy your own land and build on it without having the government come and stick their dick into it. Ain't that some shit?
I love this.
And
I
there's
love
some
this,
fucking
this
I love
shit,
that we
theme
keep
that you two
using
got
sticking
going
their
for you.
dick-
Were just like the
Yes.
government's gonna put their dick in it. I swear to God, they're gonna shove their
love it.
dick
I
right in
love
there, and they're
it.
gonna fuck you real good, right? That's true. That's true. Like you can go on your own land, you can buy your own type of land, but even then, just having the land, not enough. You're gonna have to pay property taxes.
No.
So can
Yeah,
you
and
really
then you
call
have
it?
to have
Can you really
somebody
call it
come-
yours if you have to pay
No.
something
Like
to the
if
state?
it's your land and you want to build like personally
Well,
build
even
your
like
own
let's say
house
you're
on
not
it,
even gonna
like,
build
why
anything
do you
off
have
of
to
it.
have somebody no
Well, let's
but
say
why
you're
do you
not
have to
gonna
have
let's say you're not
somebody
gonna build
come and
anything off of it.
inspect
Let's just say
If
you're gonna own the
you-
land.
if
You just
you
want to
feel
own the
co-
land.
hold
You want to
on.
go there, maybe hunt there. You know, you just want to go there for a little time off, right? It's just land, right?
yeah.
You still have to fucking pay the government for owning that. You still have to pay property.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But if you want to build a
you
house,
still have to pay the money. So you
or-
literally, it's impossible for you to go without receiving some kind of income in order to pay the government their dues. So like, even
Right.
though you own the land, it's all yours, supposedly. You have to have some way that you're gaining income because you have to pay the property taxes. So
Man,
like,
and
it's
moving to
not really
Arkansas,
yours.
we have way more property taxes than we had in New Mexico. Like you have to pay property taxes on your car.
Yeah, I mean,
here.
well, there's
In New Mexico,
I mean,
that
there's a
wasn't
give there's a
thing.
give and take on that because like I think New Mexico's registration in the same thing with like the property tax that you pay on your vehicle here yearly is a little different. I'm gonna say that one is definitely better than the
Okay, but
other,
it's a lot more work that I have to fucking deal with.
That's
right?
fair,
I'd
sweetheart. I
rather
understand
just
your
be
frustration.
like,
She's the one who
my
goes to
car's
the DMV, by the way,
registered
in order
for-
to deal with all
yeah.
this stuff. She has more
I'm
than
like, my
enough
car's
gripe
registered for 4
to deal with
years.
these
I don't have
bastards
to
at
think
the
about
DMV.
it for 4 years, okay? But here, every year, I have to go and fucking re-register
Yeah,
it and
postponing that shit.
repay the property
like whether or not we
taxes.
should even need to register our cars. Ooh, that's a touchy libertarian subject.
Right.
Should we have
It's
to,
the same-
it's the same
appease
way in
the
Texas,
government
man.
whether or not
Every
we're
year you have
actually
to go
driving
and
on the
get a
road or
safety
not?
check.
Ooh. Yeah, that's wandering down some a little bit more dangerous roads there. Some real in deep libertarian discussion. But we'll get
If
there.
they're worried about it,
We'll
why
get there.
don't they fix
All right.
the roads?
But Tanner, you were saying too
My
about the
roads!
whole having the land, right? And say you wanted to build your own house out there. Yeah, the
Right.
government
Yeah,
will definitely
I was-
oppose that. The government not only will oppose that, they'll come in and send inspectors to make sure that you're building it according to
That's what I
their
don't get. That's what I
standards.
don't get. Like,
You
you
have
know
to
you're
appease
building
their
your own
standards.
house.
What if
Like,
you want to
know
fucking
you're
build a
building your
teepee
own
out there
house.
or some fucking
you know
hut?
that maybe
right?
this part of the roof might cave in. that's your own fucking deal.
But that's your
right?
decision,
Like,
right?
You'll
Don't you
figure
make
it out
don't
when
you
it
make that
happens,
like if
it
you're gonna be a
happens.
dumbass about building a house and then it caves in on you, that's your fault. Like you fucking made the decision to build the house,
Like,
right?
why do I need somebody
But
to come in and
but
be
I mean,
like,
a lot
oh,
of people will say that
sorry,
that's
you have to tear this whole shit down.
but a lot of
You
people will say
wasted
that
all your time.
that's the whole purpose of the government, right? Is they're keeping us safe. Okay, so they're making these rules and
Oh, is that
restrictions.
what they're doing?
They're making these rules and restrictions in order to make sure that you don't.
I'm like,
hurt
I will
yourself.
make my chin disappear because that shit's ridiculous.
So
She ain't
that's what
fucking
they're
around,
doing.
ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
She ain't fucking around. But yeah, I mean,
No.
like just like, but see, that's the overreach that we can see on a day-to-day basis right now. But like, I mean, when you look at the nature of the state, it literally exists to create more power in of itself. Like it's a parasite that leeches off of the people, and then
Right, but
it
it shouldn't have.
continually creates more and more validity for, or at least to try to convince the people that it leeches off of for its existence.
But it shouldn't have as much power. It doesn't need that much power.
Well, no, I mean, definitely not. But it definitely in its nature obtains that
Well, they
power
seem to think
naturally.
that they do.
No, it naturally
they
does. It
think that
naturally
they
does.
do,
With
but
whatever
do the
you do with
people
the
think
state,
that
it will
they do?
instantly try to grow
I don't think
as far
they do.
as its ability to control people and its ability to govern the people better, right? For the safety of the people. Like and it's necessary. The state wants to say that it's necessary.
It's like what we were talking about earlier about the state. Okay, so you would think that they would want the people, the residents of the country or state, whatever, to be happy, right, and to go along with them. But then they go out and they make all these stupid ass decisions, and now like the people hate the government, or the smart people don't like the government.
Well, I
Because
mean, more people that you come to meet, and especially when it comes to law, usually you can't meet a single person in your entire lifetime that's not going to point out some governmental law that is absolutely asinine, and even just to their opinion, not whether or not you believe that it's asinine, but to their opinion believes it's ridiculous. You're not going to find one.
right.
They're always going to say that
No.
there's things that the state does that is just absolutely ridiculous that they actually have involvement in.
Yeah.
But it's because it's in the state's interest to be involved in just about everything because they want to secure the validity of their existence. So a state
Well,
to
the state shouldn't
exist.
be interested in me.
What?
So the state shouldn't be interested in me.
It should not.
I
Absolutely.
agree
But literally the only reason
1,000,000%.
but the only reason a state can exist is because of you. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
Is that the only reason it can exist is because of you. So it's going to need to coerce you. It's going to need to take money from you so that it maintains its existence.
Man, that don't make no sense.
Man. Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
I mean,
Let
the
me
state's
live my
idea
life,
of how to
please.
survive is forcefully taking your resources
Yeah, I mean,
because they're a parasite.
They're parasite. Good job, sweetheart. She's got it. I trained her well, guys.
Took notes.
She took notes. Do you have any more notes, by the way?
Yeah, that was only page 1. Sorry.
Well, let's hear some more because we are way over time, I'm pretty sure right now.
Well, we were at
I'm
40
going by
minutes
fast,
about
man.
We are doing just
40
fine.
minutes
Just
ago.
keep this momentum going until Zoom decides, hey, you guys have had enough.
All right, no more talking.
Shh. Listen.
All right. I don't know what you're asking of me. What
Notes.
do
You
want?
got notes. You got something else you want to like partake to this? Like, how many glasses have you had?
This is probably 3 or 4.
Okay. Well, then you're
I
right
just
there.
refilled.
You're ready to give all your real opinion and everything.
I'm like, do you want me to read stuff or do you just want me to talk?
You can talk. Like, just tell us what opinions are like. What you took notes, right? You just got through saying I took notes. So, like, let's hear it. What do you want to talk about?
I took notes. Okay, hold on. You guys talk amongst yourself again.
So, like,
while I read.
Carlie's friend Ian got on after he saw my intro episode, and he's just like, "Oh my god, like I love you. I think that's great that you're doing your podcast, but that beard has, oh my god, like it's way too redneck." And he freaking just went right after it. I was just like, "What's wrong with my beard, man? Like it's soft. Like I take good care of it." He's just like,
Leave it
"It's just
alone."
too redneck." He's like, "It's too just all over the place." And I'm just like, "What do you mean, like wiry?" Because that's
Yeah, I didn't
naturally
understand that. I'm like,
my beard is naturally wiry.
he just got it cut too.
But he did. He went
just
right
got
after
it
it.
trimmed.
It's funny too because he's gonna watch this episode and he's gonna be like, "Oh my god, that's not what I meant." I can hear it now. I can hear it now.
He's like, oh shit, they're talking about me.
Right. Well, that
All
means
right,
I'm just gonna have to
so-
bring him on and he's gonna have to explain himself because this beard is magnificent. Okay.
Hey man, I love your beard. Ain't nothing wrong with it.
There ain't nothing
I'm
wrong
like,
with it.
all right. Okay, so the state stays legit.
Legit.
This is how I write things down. Apparently.
Okay. Apparently.
The state stays legit enough to keep the general public going along with them by talking sweet nothings in your ear.
So giving
But if
themselves
you're not
validity
just going
while-
along with it, they do enough to make you cheer for them, right?
Oh yeah.
But
I
a
guess.
state,
No, they
a
do.
state, no
I mean,
matter
come on,
how-
dude. Look around you. Look at
Yeah.
these people who are just like super excited about more state overreach. They're like, "Yay, this policy is great."
well, yeah, or even
Yeah,
the
but they're
people that
dumb.
stormed.
Yeah, but they're
stormed
dumb.
the
But there's a lot of them,
fucking
and it exists. Okay,
Capitol.
that's what her point is that it exists, Tanner.
Yeah, or even the people that stormed the Capitol for Trump, like
Right.
that's just crazy.
I love the
Yeah, they
the
broke into
libertarian
the
position. The
Capitol and did
libertarian
nothing.
position on that was just so.
I'm
heated 'cause
really
they were-
glad that they stole AOC's shoes, but she's not so happy about it.
I'm like fucking
I
Sarah
think
Burton's
that's
like,
the funniest
"Fuck
part
your
about
shoes,
it.
woman." Like you're supposed
Like-
to represent me. Fuck your shoes.
Like,
Right.
I'm gonna
I
tax
mean-
these.
I mean, a
shoes
lot of
millions
libertarians
of-
were just like, "Yeah, storm the Capitol," but they're just like, "Yeah, not to like install one dictator-ish guy
Yeah.
that you guys happen to like, but yeah, fuck the state."
I
but
mean,
not
like, the
for
millions
that.
of dollars-
Not like
The
that.
millions of dollars that AOC stopped from coming into New York, she probably could have bought
Many
all of the
shoes,
shoes.
many shoes.
All of the shoes. She would
No
have had
shit.
backup shoes.
Yeah.
But
All right,
she fucked that
let's
up.
not get too much
Okay,
into like
anyway,
political sense.
okay.
Like we're supposed to be talking strictly ideology
I'm
here.
sorry.
Enough
I have
about
to
the
make-
shoes.
I
We're
have
gonna
to make my
consider all
points
of the
relevant.
in-betweens in this episode the
shoes.
political rant
That's gonna be
segment,
my new
okay, that I
thing.
was planning on
My
doing for most of my
shoes.
podcast because I know people have to just vent the current situation out. That's not what my
Well, I
podcast is
mean,
aimed to do. My podcast is aimed to
I'm
talk about
trying to make
ideology.
I'm trying to make what Murray is saying like relevant to today. You
Okay,
know?
there you go. That's fair, I guess. Yeah.
So my new saying instead of my roads, it's gonna be my shoes.
My shoes.
My shoes.
I love it. My shoes.
What have you done with my shoes?
What
What
is
are
it about my
those?
shoes?
What are the
It's
These
not
are
even a
my
raise. It's just a little bit. Like
Okay.
it's not really a raise.
Okay, so let me read another thing. It says a state, no matter how powerful, cannot stay in power if the vast majority of its subjects view it as illegitimate. Therefore, the state uses intellectuals, smart ass people, to prove
Debatable.
their
No, I'm just
nobility.
Who did they decide is the intellectual? No, I'm just kidding.
Apparently,
It's fair, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Apparently
Who
they are.
decide is the intellectual.
apparently they're not that intellectual if
Well, you
they're
gotta play the skeptic here,
advocating
right? So are they
for-
gonna decide who everybody is? The expert is like, we like this guy. We paid him a lot. He's definitely legit.
Well, I
Like, you
mean,
gotta listen to him.
they use like Bill Gates, right?
I
They
mean,
use Bill Gates, right?
Well, you can use Bill Gates as far as his success in the market, but also you can't rule out the fact that like state intervention is also responsible
they're
for
like
his
Bill
success
Gates
in the market.
is
So, like,
planting. Bill Gates is planting microchips in us. You know that, right?
oh,
Well,
you
he's
missed me
trying
with that.
to, yeah.
Missed me with that conspiracy shit just now. Okay, like that's not what this podcast is about.
I'm sorry.
No,
No, we got
I
one or
was
two
trying to
more
make a
glasses
joke.
in
I
that we
was
should
trying
have
to make
gotten.
a joke.
It's okay. It was a great
Alright, so
joke. It was
well.
a great joke. But there are people out there that take that shit seriously. And like I just want to make
Oh,
sure that we're turning
I'm
away from
sorry to you guys, but he's doing it.
that. No.
We're not
Oh.
dog.
Jesus.
Actually, they would try to get the intellectuals to tell people that the statemen were put there by God.
Oh yeah, that was back during monarchy times, right? They were instated
Yeah.
because of the divine right of God. God chose them to be in, right? So it was religion that
Bless
gave
you.
them the ability to just
God bless you.
decide all laws and rules, and that you had to just abide by whatever it was that the monarch said, right?
Yeah.
Because they were installed by God. And if you were denying what they had said, then you were denying God, right? But now we
Yeah,
have a little bit better of a system, right?
exactly.
So then
That's-
some people can vote a guy
Yes.
to go in and dictate your life for a little bit of the time. Just as long as it was voted
Great.
upon, right?
We love that.
Yeah.
Love
it's
that
just
for
much better.
me.
But
This is
then we get into
great.
like, does the state
It's working
represent
out
you?
really well.
No, the state will never represent you entirely, ever.
Never.
Not ever.
The state doesn't give a fuck about you, man.
No,
They-
it never.
they say
It
that
never
they do,
will.
but
It will
they
definitely
don't.
have. Okay, it's politicians will campaign pretending like they give a shit about you. They do not.
Oh
They
yeah,
wanna
because you
vote.
gotta get
They
people to
wanna
But
vote.
once they're in office,
They give
you
no
They're
don't
like,
fucks.
oh,
see
no,
any of
fuck
that.
y'all.
No fucks.
You know, every
So
time I
then,
say that, that
therefore,
means
to me,
you
it's
like me.
just about
Nah,
every
fuck
single
that.
representative. I was like, I'm sorry. For me, as I guess now as a identified libertarian, I will honestly say that like the only
Wait,
representative.
you're libertarian?
No way.
What? No.
I'm sorry.
Well, I appreciate
I'm
that.
Is that
sorry.
what this is
I
about?
appreciate that lovely joke. But
I'm sorry.
the only person that would represent me would be a libertarian who literally just gets in office in order to dismantle
no.
the system.
Oh,
Like
yeah, this
they go
one.
in there they go in there directly to just start tearing it down. Basically, we're gonna be like libertarians want to vote in somebody to destroy it from the inside out.
So a mosh? Are we talking about a mosh?
I would name a libertarian, Carlie. Just name
Yeah.
one.
Like
That's
one,
more or less the
two.
fucking. That's more or less the fucking.
Justin
like, what we're gonna do.
Amash.
Justin Amash is definitely like really big at trying to dismantle the federal government, and I really am so sad that he didn't run again. But it is
I am too.
get into that. We'll get into that on
Anyway,
other
that's a
podcasts and
different-
political rant
that's a different
segments.
time,
But
different
what
place.
is the state, right? Like, oh, like I feel like we're super on trail with like the actual subject here.
I don't know, but I feel like this is very entertaining, at least for us.
Oh, I mean,
This
it's
is at
entertaining
least
for
gonna
us
be
now, dude.
entertaining.
Like, I mean, my viewers are gonna be like, "What the fuck?" Like, you guys couldn't even stay on subject, and it's just like, well, in order to get courage to do the damn podcast, we had to drink a few.
I'm like,
we got a little too
Does
far.
anybody
and we
really
have literally
stay on
no trail of
subject
thought.
though?
I don't know.
Like on
I don't know.
I don't know what they
I
think.
don't know. I don't listen.
It's not like I get a lot of
I guess I
feedback.
should listen
I
to
just started the
podcasts.
damn group. Like, I got some people who shared some stuff
Hey,
I
I
shared.
think
but,
this
like,
is this is a fun starting point.
I mean, yeah.
I mean,
sure.
we're talking about points that we want to get across. So
That's true. That's true.
We're just
Facts.
having fun while we're doing it.
Sure.
Fun
sure,
fact.
Sure.
That's a fun fact.
Sure.
True fact.
Good lord.
But
Awkward
yeah,
silence.
Like a
Yeah.
renowned in the libertarian community as a joke podcaster. They're gonna be like, you just listen to this dude. He just goes off the rails. He's crazy.
We're making good points. I feel we're just having some fun along the way, and too much wine.
And
Along the way.
The liquid
right, so what's
courage
next?
needed to get here.
liquid
You
courage.
should have dialed it down by about half.
Okay, so hold on.
Okay.
I have more
holding.
notes.
We're holding.
Well, now you know. Now you know. 4 is enough.
4. Yes. I'm gonna say 3. I'm gonna say 3 because by the time we get halfway into it, she's gonna be 4 in. So we're gonna go with
It's
3
like
to start. 3 to start.
It's like on Norseman when they're about to cut that dude's head off. He's like, now you know that 3's enough. 3's good.
Right? Just like we offered you to sacrifice Odin so that the safekeepings of our Earl will come home. And then he's like, here's 1 slave. Here's 2
Why do you
slaves.
always have an Irish accent?
Huh? Do what?
Like, why do you have an Irish accent? Oh, it's because we keep watching Irish movies or Scottish. We just watched Braveheart and then
One
watched
of
Gangs of New
those.
York.
One of those, sure.
Braveheart is one of the greatest films of all time.
Absolutely, I highly recommend it to anybody
Fact.
who has never seen it. Please watch Braveheart. It's really good.
William Wallace, man,
Based on a true story.
he knew what
It's
he was
really
doing.
good. Absolutely, highly recommend. Always.
Oh, okay. So, one of the last notes that I have, because I didn't take notes on the whole thing, but they claim that the Constitution is a living, breathing document. Therefore, they can
Alter it.
change it.
Yeah, they can alter it if they claim that
depending
it's a
on
living
whatever
document.
tyrant
Decides to manipulate the interpretation of the Constitution. Yeah, that is very problematic,
so
especially
politicians,
under a lot of libertarians believe that that's very problematic. Why? Because these rights are supposed to be inalienable. You don't get to just
Wait, how does that work?
You don't get to just redetermine what a right is. I mean, to be fair, from what libertarians believe is that rights are natural. We didn't need a constitution to determine what our rights are. Our rights are natural. They're literally there the second that we're born. We have the right for self-preservation. We have the right to say what we want without being attacked or put down. We have the right to our own privacy. We have the right to our own property. I mean, that's a natural right. Like, I mean, the Constitution only, even in the writing of the Constitution, is that we understand that these are like, they also have God-given rights. I mean, however you want to say it, like it was given to you by God, and that they're just recognizing the existence of those rights by every individual. They're there whether or not there's a constitution. They're there whether or not there's an amendment. They're there for whatever the rules and restrictions are.
Sorry.
You have them no matter what, but it's the state that actually keeps you from those rights because of the interpretations of things like the U.S. Constitution. The U.S. Constitution will say
states like to transcend their limits by changing the meanings of laws depending on what fits their agenda.
Yeah. Well, they say that. They say just about everything is up to interpretation. And to be fair, like, in my opinion, no, this is not up for interpretation. I should be able to say what I want as long as I'm not inciting violence or causing somebody to do something to hurt or harm other people's property or their own rights. Like, there's literally, I'm not doing anything wrong.
My memes.
You may not like what I have to say, but I have every freaking right to say
targeted.
it. I'm sorry, I do. But and I also have the right to self-preservation in any way that I see fit. So I'm sorry, if you're going to try to come at me and kill me or destroy my property, I have every right to protect it. I have every right to protect myself in any way I see.
Killing you would destroy your property.
In any way I see fit. So with whatever utensil, whatever tool, with whatever I see fit, I can use. I should be able to use to protect myself. And that's just a natural right.
Yeah.
That's natural.
Yeah.
But the state decides, oh, well, nobody needs this kind of gun. You shouldn't have bump stocks. Bump stocks are bad.
Here we go. Man, okay.
Bump stocks are bad.
Bump stocks are bad. All right, you ain't got no assault rifle. You ain't need no reason for no assault rifle. You ain't got no need for them.
them why does our government the Second Amendment right now?
Well, that's the whole point. Is that like if you're gonna allow how can we allow like it's funny how can we allow? That's a very broad, ridiculous.
We
allow government to have things even worse than AR-15s, yet the citizens aren't allowed to have them. That's kind of ridiculous. I'm sorry. If anything, we should have whatever we want. We should have whatever we want, and the government should beg us to allow us to let them use whatever they want. Like, that should be fair.
Like, I shared a post the other day, and it was like the country of the United States has lost over like 32 nukes, but we can't. 32. We're not responsible enough to have guns.
Yeah, but they want to tell us what kind of guns.
We just lost them.
We gotta. What was it, in a boating accident, Mr. America?
Where'd they go?
Was it in a boating accident, Mr. America? Did you lose them in a lake?
Yeah.
What did you do with them nukes?
Where'd they go?
I don't know. I don't know where they went.
Carlie, did you cover all the points that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah.
So far. All right.
That's all I got taken down.
Well, I gotta say, I'm
Or
gonna go
written
ahead and
down.
bring this to a conclusion. This has been a wonderful, very enjoying discussion between you guys. Thank you very much, Carlie. Thank you very much, Tanner, Mr. Red Bear. We appreciate you coming on here and providing to the discussion, no matter how off topic it seems to spin out as we go. But I mean, hopefully our viewers
we
don't
got
I
mind so
like
much.
it.
Hopefully our
I had
viewers
a
will
lot of
find it
fun.
at least entertaining enough that it's not a very big problem. But I mean, if there's other things that you did that you think, I'm sure that there will be, by the way, if there's other things that you think that we should have gone over when it came to the anatomy of the state, to what a state is and things maybe we should have discussed, please, by all means, hit us up in the comments. Let us know what you think, and you know, you can always message me directly. We can do a recap episode, or at least an episode where we bring on people who got really good points and things that maybe we didn't make on the episode, what we were talking about, that we would love to revisit, you know, because this is all about exploring the ideology and understanding what libertarianism is. So we welcome it. I'm going to say right now that I do want to plug a couple podcasters that to me actually are really good podcasters. I follow them and I think you should too. But what we do is we're discussing ideology here. But if you want like a really good take on current events and what's happening and from like libertarian perspective, I would highly recommend the Take on Everything podcast with James Cook and Sarah Brooke. Sarah Brooke is the unapologetic princess of liberty, and
Love her.
oh, absolutely. She's just fantastic. Like everything that I
Mhm.
see her ever write and do, like I'm just like, yes, please don't like get disheartened. Please keep
She
going.
also creates the funniest memes.
The best memes I've ever seen
Yes.
in my life. She creates the best
Yes.
ones.
Love
But
her.
if anything, maybe that this little tribute here at the end of my podcast will give her a little bit more motivation to keep doing what she's doing, because like she gets off and on zucked a lot and loses a lot of her stuff. So I mean, whatever it does to take her to like keep her from being disheartened and to throwing in the towel, like we love you. And James is a fantastic economist, and he understands a lot about libertarianism views, and he does a really good job on the Take on Everything. So I really recommend that you go check it out on YouTube. And I'm going to tell you right now, actually check it out on YouTube, because I'm seeing a lot less likes than I'm happy with on those pages for those posts that they have. Like, you guys need to get your asses on YouTube and you need to start liking that shit, because they deserve it. They do a lot of work and what they do. Other than that, man, like, thank you guys so much for joining us today and listening to our bullshit discussion. I hope that we covered a lot of very important points, and then I hope that it was at least fun and entertaining enough for you to stick around, maybe even to the end. But thank you guys so very much, and this has been Newfound Liberty, and take care.